After reaching the nuclear deal, the Islamic Republic started negotiating with Boeing and Airbus and other aerospatial companies to purchase aircraft for its airlines, such as Iran Air and Mahan Air. But there is some resistance in Washington to the deal that was made recently between Boeing and the Islamic Republic. Last week, Peter Kohanloo of the Iranian-American majority wrote an op-ed about blocking the deal between Iran and Boeing. We have Peter Kohanloo today on Iranistas, and I would love to know his idea behind his op-ed.
There are several reasons to oppose the Boeing deal with Iran's regime. One of the major reasons was that there have been accusations that the Iranian regime, specifically the Revolutionary Guards, have been using passenger airplanes to ferry weapons and materials to Iran's client, the Assad regime, to wage war on civilians. And that was one of the major concerns. Individuals like Senator Rubio of Florida, Representative Roscom of Illinois, made a persuasive case on those grounds. And my major concern was that if this Boeing-Iran deal goes through and the Trump administration allows it to go through, that will be the start of a gold rush of American business to Iran. And the concern is that once you open the floodgates for business to Iran with American companies, what happens is that those corporations, firms, different entities will want to protect their interests with the Iranian regime. And therefore, they will help create or strengthen a pro-Iranian regime lobby in D.C. Once that happens, it will be very difficult for members of Congress, particularly those coming from districts or states where there's a big demand for job creation. What happens is that, for example, if you're a congressman and Boeing is in your district, or you're a senator and Boeing is based in your state and has employs, several thousands of people, what happens is now you're worried about your reelection. You're worried about, how am I going to get the votes? How am I going to get the money to run my reelection campaign? And so therefore it becomes very, very difficult to oppose the regime, on human rights abuses, on its support for terrorism, on its ballistic and nuclear programs. So that's why I think it has to be nipped in the bud right away instead of allowing this trend to continue.
There is a big question here. U.S. military is a big customer of Boeing, and at the same time, Iranian airlines have been actually transferring arms and militants to Syria. So the question is, how could Boeing be working for both sides at the very same time?
Well, exactly. Boeing is a large, well-respected American company, and they've been doing business with the U.S. government for decades, especially in defense. And so, a company that markets itself as a true American company and providing for the defenses of the country, and with the image that they have this image of being a patriotic company and a truly American company, it's a little disturbing that they would be willing to jump the gun on this deal. I know there are billions of dollars at stake, but we also have a regime that was implicated in, directly or indirectly, in hundreds of American soldiers' deaths in the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, especially with those IED explosives. And you have a regime that sponsors Hezbollah, which has killed scores of servicemen, Marines. So I think it's a little disturbing that, on the one hand, they want to say we are, an American company that believes in American values, yet they're willing to rush to do business, and they forget that aspect of their identity to make that that money that they want from Iran's government.
You wrote this op-ed basically as an activist and somebody involved in Iranian American issues. How is your nonprofit going to act in the future regarding businesses with the Islamic Republic of Iran?
Right. Well, I don't know if the viewers know, IAM stands for Iranian American Majority, our 501c3 nonprofit organization. And yes, we have relationships with different offices. We also speak to those offices that were involved in trying to block this deal. So we're in contact with them, and we're willing to hear them out and have them hear our voice and our views, and to see where we can cooperate on these issues. Because on the surface, this looks like a win-win situation. You have American jobs being created, from the deal, and the Iranian side can say, look, our planes are a little old now, and people want to fly in a convenient manner. But really, it could be the beginning of this gold rush, as I was saying, creating a formidable pro-regime lobby that activists and organizations like ours will have a very, very difficult time to counter it. And my fear is that our voice will be almost extinguished in this kind of situation, because, like I said, you would have senators, congressmen whose district states depend on job creation, and it would be very difficult for them to stand in the way of business between those companies in their states and the Iranian regime.
Your nonprofit deals with human rights issues in Iran as well. I would love to know that what's your idea about the impact of the Iran deal on human rights in Iran, and how would American businesses look at this deal regarding human rights?
I mean, we've already seen, since the announcement of the nuclear deal, hundreds of executions in Iran. The human rights situation has deteriorated instead of improved. We still have political prisoners rotting away in prison. We also have major former regime figures who are still in prison, and they have not been released. So I just think that what we see now is only the beginning, and something worse is on the horizon if this deal goes through. And it's not an exaggeration to say this. I really believe that, for the sake of American interests, for the sake of the Iranian people, I believe this deal should be blocked.